Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Boy, that Christmas Fusion, they dropped a lot of new champions on us, guys, and only a handful of them are actually in this Christmas Fusion. There's a whole bunch that aren't, and I didn't want to throw 1 hour long video at you guys covering everything, so this is the last part of this, covering these new champions. I figured I'd go all over all of them, and that's kind of what I did a couple days ago. I went over each one, looked at the base stats, looked at their kits, tried to find some synergy in there, determine whether I like them or not, where would I use them, would I use them at all. And there are some awesome champions, guys. I mean, awesome champions. I'm way more excited about these champions than I am about this Christmas Fusion. So I figured I'd go over that with you guys, show that to you, and we'll call it a day. So let's jump in. Nekret the Great. Man, they're just dropping in all these Void legendaries. It's pretty nuts. All right. Oh, my God. Look at this kit. Look at this stuff. His defense is so high. His HP is so high. What can he do? Decrease attack on the A1. It's a 3-hitter. Each hit has booked up to 30% chance. It's not bad. Oh, and it cannot be resisted. That's really good. You don't need accuracy for it. Teams up with allies to attack one enemy. All allies under ally protection buffs placed by this champion will join the attack. Interesting. Allies joining the attack will use their default skills. Grants an extra turn if this attack does not kill the target. Ooh, this guy's looking interesting. Places a block debuff, an ally protection buff, and a strengthen buff on an ally for 3 turns. One ally. Okay. The ally protection buff cannot be removed. Okay, so single target, not the greatest. I mean, that part is definitely not spectacular. It is on a 3-turn cooldown, which is nice, but yeah, that part's less cool. Definitely makes this ally attack thing less helpful, right? Okay. Let's see. Whenever an ally is attacked under an ally protection buff placed by this champion, place a shield buff on the ally equal to 30% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns. Occurs only if the ally does not already have a shield buff placed by this champion. Also decreases the cooldown of this champion's Legion of the Damned skill by 2 turns if the shield buff is placed. Oh, that's this one, the ally attack thing. Okay. You know what's great about this too, though, is it gives him an extra turn. So this is a 3-turn skill when it's booked. So that's turn 1. This is turn 2, and then he gets another turn right after that. This is going to come up pretty quick on those allies. He's going to be able to put out more than one of those. That's not bad. With his other passive, places a block debuff buff and a 25% strengthen buff for 3 turns on the ally with the lowest max HP at the start of each round. Okay. Also places an ally protection buff on them for 6 turns. Oh my goodness. And it cannot be removed. This guy, that's wow. The start of each round. So like if you bring this guy in arena, that your champion's going to start with that. That's very interesting. Okay. Well, he's got definitely an interesting kit. Ally resists all battles is cool. I don't know where you use them exactly, but I feel like you should be able to use them everywhere. Rector Drath. Well, this is a secret one. Here we go. Look at that. Defense and attack are both solid. HP's okay. Oh, man. Wow. What an interesting Nurse Cratchit over here. All right. Attacks with an enemy. Decrease attack for 2 turns on the A1. Books up to 50% chance. All right. Heals all allies by 20% of this hero's max HP. After healing, places a perfect veil buff for 2 turns on all allies with full HP. Places a continuous heal buff instead if they have less than 100% HP. That's pretty solid. Revives a single ally with 60% HP and fills a turn meter by 60%. Places a perfect veil buff on them. So we have a reviver here. That's pretty solid. And the perfect veil is always good. The passive, whenever an ally under a veil or perfect veil buff gets a turn, heal them by 10% of their max HP. Also increase the resistance of all allies under veil or perfect veil by 50%. By 50? Not 50%, by 50. Will only increase with the resolve of once per ally if there are multiple rectors on the team. Wow, that's... Okay. I don't want to see her and Duchess together in the arena. That's going to be awful. All right. Inquisitor Shamael. I think I said that right. Shamael? I think so. I haven't looked at this at all. Decent base attack. Not great, but not terrible. Low base defense, but not horrible. Okay speed. HP is kind of low. I'm kind of interested where this goes. Attacks when enemy 50% chance to decrease the duration of a random buff on the target by 1 turn. Counterattacks with this skill each time an enemy places a debuff on an ally. That can be interesting. These counterattacks only deal 50% of the normal damage and cannot be critical. Okay, but still, that's not bad. But being able to decrease their buffs, that can actually be pretty useful. Attacks one enemy 3 times, ignore 25% of the target defense. Will ignore a further 25% for each buff on this champion. Places a true fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn if this attack kills an enemy. So this could, if you can get some buffs on him, get 3 buffs on this guy, he's going to ignore 100% of the enemy's defense and hit him 3 times. If this has good multipliers on it, this could be a really good skill by putting true fear on everybody after they kill someone. That's kind of interesting. And then each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 7.5%. Whenever an ally receives a fear or true fear debuff, this skill will instantly remove the debuff and fill the ally's turn meter by 15%. That's really interesting. I'm really curious how this interacts with some of our other champions in this game. Primarily, let's see if I can find her, actually. This is kind of an interesting champion. I don't know, it definitely doesn't feel like a meta champion. Epic, right? Just an epic, but Epic Void definitely seems like is like pretty interesting champion. I want to see how this interacts with Sky-Touch Shaman right here. So Sky-Touch Shaman, interesting. Where is her ability? Passive. 50% chance of placing a fear debuff on this champion for 1 turn. I bet he would remove that and give himself the turn meter boost. That's kind of an interesting little combination there. That might work out. Harken Greatblade. Interesting. Attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if it's critical. Okay. Attacks one enemy, 75% chance to place a weaken debuff before attacking. Okay. And attacks one enemy, applies a debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuffs from the target and placing them on all enemies. Also extends the duration of those debuffs by 2 turns, not the durations of the debuffs on the initial target. That's an interesting ability. The only other champion I know that has this, there's probably, I know there's others. I can't think of them right now, but I know Vizier has this skill. That's kind of an interesting ability right there. Harken Greatblade. Okay. I don't see any meta places where she would fit, but definitely an interesting champion. You notice the aura, increase the ally attack in the Doom Tower. We're going to start seeing that. She has great attack, pretty low HP, pretty low defense, and pretty low speed, truthfully. Does seem to have pretty good crit damage bonus. So definitely an attack champion. I'm interested to see how she fares. Usually those Void champions hit pretty hard. Yakarl the Scourge. That he looks cool. I love the snow and the lightning behind him. That's dope. Look at that axe. Oh, that's crazy. All right, let's see what his skills are. A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing freeze debuff. Okay. Ignore shield buffs if there are 1 or more enemies under freeze. Ignore block damage if there are 2 or more enemies under freeze. Ignore 30% of the target's defense if 3 or more enemies under freeze. Okay. I mean, clearly seems like an arena champion at this point with those kind of abilities. Although it might be great for dungeon progression, Doom Tower progression. Attacks one enemy, 75% chance of placing decreased speed debuff for 3 turns, and the 75%. Well, this is going to book up to 100% chance. So we'll place a decreased speed debuff for 3 turns and a freeze debuff for 1 turn, and then steals 100% of the target's turn meter and places a speed debuff on him for 3 turns. Oh, this guy looks dope, guys. And I just remembered I'd read this kit somewhere. And this is a skill. These two skills combining. So on this, A2, hits a guy, decrease speed, you're frozen, 100% chance, right? Just need the accuracy. Oh, also I'm going to take all your turn meter, all Man-Eater, which is an insane ability. And then I'm going to speed myself up as well. Let me do those 2 things. So now I have a full turn meter. I'm going faster than I was before, so I can't get cut in. And then I get to do this amazing thing. Attacks one enemy 3 times. If the target is under a freeze debuff, wonder who that could be, removes the debuff after attacking and places it on all enemies except the initial target, who by this point is probably dead. Will also attack all enemies except the initial target after the 3rd hit. Dope. The freeze debuff will be placed on another enemy, on all other enemies, even if the initial target dies before the freeze debuff is removed. So that is 100% the goal of this guy. He hits with the A2, frozen, steal your turn meter, bap, 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 and then whack everybody else and freeze all of them. That's going to be a sweet ability. Ooh, and then he's got a passive, decrease the damage this champion receives by 10%, and increases the damage this champion receives by 10% if there are 1 or more enemies under freeze. Increases his speed by 15 and resistance by 50 if there are 2 or more enemies under freeze. And then active effect places an unkillable buff on this champion for 2 turns whenever there are 3 enemies under freeze debuffs. This guy's nuts. So let me get this straight. Freezes one, gets their turn meter, goes faster. Let's hit him again. Freezes everybody else. Oh yeah, because of those things, he's hitting harder. He's moving faster. He has more resistance. Oh, and then he's unkillable for 3 turns after that. That's nuts. That's nuts. It's a nuts skill. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's gonna be very fun in arena if you pull him. Ally attack in the Doom Tower, awesome. So he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be great in the Doom Tower. I think that's a pretty simple place to see him going through those waves. Just he's a walking debuff machine by himself, and that unkillable ability means that he's gonna survive till those skills come back around. He just has to land them. So you're just gonna want to stack accuracy on this dude like crazy. Make sure that he hits. But that's gonna be crazy. Yeah, 43% bonus. That's nuts. Great attack. Low HP, low defense, but he's an attack champion. Low speed as well. It's gonna be the hard part. Good crit damage bonus there. Yeah, Carl. I'm already jonesing. I'm like, oh, where have you been all my life? Let's move on. We got the Grinch. They just dumped a ton of new champions on us. So we got Grunch Killjoy. Awesome. Not part of the fusion, just the Grinch. Let's see. Good base HP, low attack, high defense, support champion, decent speed. Let's see. Everything's based on attack though, so we'll see how he hits. 40% chance of place books up to 60% chance of playing block buffs on his A1. Not bad. This books up to a 70% chance of placing a bomb debuff that detonates after 1 turn. AoE hits all enemies, so that's always good. And removes all debuffs from all allies. Then places 1 continuous heal buff for 1 turn on each ally after every debuff removed from them. So the more debuffs you have, the more continuous heals you get. That's kind of nuts. That's a very interesting mechanic right there. Very interesting. 4 turn cooldown on that. Passive fills the turn meter of allies by 10% whenever a bomb debuff detonates on an enemy. That could be interesting. I wonder if bombs are not meta at all, so in general, probably not a great champion, but who doesn't want the Grinch, guys? Look at this. Hairy, fat Grinch. I love it. Oh, look at that, guys. We got a new Lizard Man. Yay! Ox the Rememberer. Aw. Support champion. This looks cool. I don't know about you guys, but that's awesome. Look, he's got a totem on his back. I don't know why he has that on his back, but it's awesome. This guy looks cool, man. What's he got? What's the frog got? Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 10% chance of placing a poison debuff. That's pretty solid. Attacks 1 enemy. Heals all allies by 10% of their max HP. Heals each ally an extra 2.5% for each debuff on the target. Oh, interesting. Well, that seems actually pretty strong for like clan boss, strangely enough. And then places a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 75% chance, this is going to book up to 100% chance of decreasing the enemy's turn meter by 20%. Places a decreased crit rate debuff on the target for 2 turns if they have 50% or more turn meter after the decrease. That decreased crit rate is a great debuff, I think. It's something that as you can see, they're introducing. That's going to be a really nice debuff, actually. You don't see it hardly ever. That's a really strong ability. Like, to take that, basically, you make somebody weak affinity as far as chance to crit. That's not bad. But decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown, guaranteed, it places it. So that's probably a guaranteed placement. 3-turn cooldown with poisons on the A1. Oh, but it's only a 30% chance to place a poison. No, that's not as good. Still, that's not bad. And the passive heal, this guy might be decent in Clan Boss. Increases duration of 2 random debuffs on the attacker by 1 turn when attacked. Occurs once per hit. So, you guys like Bulwark as a debuff extender? This guy might be pretty decent too. There's no percentage chance, so that's just happening. It's just random debuffs. You don't know which ones are getting extended, but like against Affinity Clan Boss, that's going to be really strong. This guy's, I think, is going to be very good for Clan Boss. You can see he's got decent HP, pretty good defense, speed's not bad. He's built for that. I like this guy. And increased accuracy for the Doom Tower. There's a lot to like about Aox. All right, guys, we found another hidden gem, another hidden champion tossed in here. Crazy. So it's funny because usually with these fusions, like you have to get all these new champions. You don't have to get all these new champions. I'm going to show you the ones you do need to get. But boy, there's a bunch of new ones in here. Achak the Wendarian. Attacks one enemy. 30% chance of decreasing the duration of random buff if the target is under HP burn debuff. Cool. Also, 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15% if they're under a freeze debuff. Cool. Places a block debuff on all allies for 1 turn, and strengthen buff on all allies for 1 turn. It's a great skill right there. Attacks all enemies, 70% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn on enemies whose attack is higher than their defense. 70% chance of placing HP burn debuff for 1 turn on enemies whose defense is equal to or higher than their attack. So basically like swapping that, right? It's either HP burn or freeze depending on what they are good at. Heals all allies every time enemy under HP burn gets a turn, and fills a turn meter of all allies every time an enemy under freeze gets a turn. All I'm saying is bring him and Tyrant and what's his name? Torment, all on the same arena team. It's going to be very fun to watch. Guys, those champions look awesome, don't they? I mean, I just want that Barbarian so bad, guys. So bad. I can almost taste him. Boy, yeah, I don't get really caught up on a lot of attack champions, but like Elder Skarg and that dude, I don't know what it is, but I'm excited. Those are guys I would love to get. There's a bunch of them in there that I think are actually really good for a variety of parts of the game and are just really interesting in general. So good luck on your summon pulls. I know we got a 2 times event, I believe, this weekend coming up. So prepare for that. Hopefully your Christmas fusions have been going well. And yeah, guys, it's been real. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.